I guess we're starting, so I should try to introduce you. So I'm welcoming you to our Zoom chat. Darren Veira, District 10 All-Star, OFSSA champion, and still the only championship school in District 10, at least at the quad 4 level. Because I believe BM got there a couple of times, but I'm not sure that that was the same OFSSA level that you guys got to. And in any case, I'm happy to have you. And hey, Terry.
Hey.
Good morning.
Morning. Yeah,
good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Yeah, BM won AA. They didn't win Quad A. So St. James is the only school in the history of District 10 to win a Quad A championship. In Brantford at Assumption College, I think it was. I could be wrong, but
yeah, I went to see it at Assumption.
Yeah.
So yes. I caught the semifinal game, and that was fantastic. I can't remember. That was a big game for you, Darren, I think. I remember you were matched up against, I think it was Cathedral.
Yeah, in the final you're talking about, right?
Was it the final or the semis?
The final. We played Cathedral.
Okay, so I guess I saw that. Maybe I saw the semis too. Did you play St. Pat's in the semis from Ottawa?
Yeah. It was I can't remember if St. Pat's was quarters or semis, but it was one of the two. And then we played Cathedral in the final with a bunch of big names back then, a bunch of great players they had.
Yeah, there was one guy at their point guard. It was like Floyd somebody or other.
Yeah, I think it was Lloyd Crockett or Cockett.
Lloyd Crockett.
And he I think either in the semis, just before our final matchup, he had like 45 or 50 points or something like that coming in. So he was either the quarterfinals or semifinals, but he had a huge game where he put up a whole bunch of points. So people were kind of hyping that up, and that was obviously my matchup in the finals. But it didn't go their way, obviously, in the final. But that was that was a fun time.
Yeah, well, that was a powerhouse team. And it was a lot of fun to watch you guys.
At times it was a lot of fun. It wasn't as much fun for me as from other people because I was at the Gales and we had some crosstown wars with these guys, and where the point where the Veira family, mom and dad wouldn't chat at all to me, or before or after games, and we'd go into St. James. We were down 20 before the ball went up because all the refs were shaking and hugging those guys, and they wouldn't even say hi to us. But maybe I remember it a little different than everybody else. But
maybe a little bit slightly biased memory, but
a little slightly biased memory. But like Darren, let's go through your experience and your bio, kind of what you're doing now. Tell us about your story.
Yeah, sure. Like present, or you want me to go back and?
Well, whatever you feel comfortable doing.
Okay, so after let's start with where we left off. So after the high school, after my last year at St. James where we won OFSAA, I went to Laurier and I played a few years there, 3 years. And I started from my very first game. I remember that I was pretty nervous going in. I got recruited. I was pumped to play. I had already been scrimmaging with these guys and playing some preseason stuff, so I was comfortable with the team. But I remember being really nervous for my first game where I started as a point guard. I just thought that wasn't too common to go in as a rookie and start, especially at the point guard, a leadership position like that. But I had a really good game in my first game, and that gave me confidence for the rest of the season. So I played 2 more years at Laurier. After I graduated from Laurier, I went to Western and I did a master's degree in sport management. And I actually played 1 year there while I did my master's at the point position as well. Was an academic All-Canadian while I was at Western. And then let's fast forward. I started Skills Movement Studio. I did some other corporate work after I graduated. But I knew that's not what I wanted to stay in. I've always been very passionate about the kind of athletic development, fitness, sports development kind of side of it. Even when I was playing, I was just always very, very into the training and preparation aspect of it off season. And that's Ball for All, you know, Shake True Hoops was a huge part of my development, particularly in high school. But even I remember the summers coming back in university, connecting with Shake all the time and doing stuff to elevate my game and my skills. And I was doing some, actually, Shaker, you hooked me up with Ulrich in my
Right.
in the fitness training aspect of it, and that was a huge benefit for me. And I learned a lot from there, and I took my training into kind of other areas beyond just basketball preparation and started learning about a lot of different fields and bringing that in over the years. So while I was doing my corporate job, I was kind of had this longer term vision of getting out of that and starting my own thing and working with athletes and working with not only athletes, but anybody interested in movement development, athletic development, physical development, rehabilitation, and just how to develop a body that will last and sustain, because athletic injuries are so common. And if you, especially right now, if you look, younger and younger athletes are getting injured so soon, and it's very unfortunate. So it doesn't have to be that way. A big part of it is, I don't want to get off topic here, but a big part of that has to do with lifestyle and the way that they train. And so I'm trying to give athletes the tools that can help them just enjoy playing longer without having to worry about knee surgeries interrupting their enjoyment of the game, whether that be basketball or anything else. So that's how kind of got me to where I am now, where I started skills movement, which Shaker, as you know, I did some work with Ball for All for a few years in the summers.
Oh yeah,
that was
was
really
beneficial
fun.
to all the kids that did it.
I'm glad that you feel that way, and I hope they did too. I really enjoyed working with Ball for All a lot.
I absolutely do. I think that everything that you're doing, all the preparation, is really essential to the developing bodies, especially because so many kids are specializing early,
Yeah.
and they never develop other muscles or ways of moving. And you know, the whole injury prevention aspect to that is so important also. And it's overlooked, and it was overlooked in my time, and it continues to be overlooked. So I'm just really appreciate the opportunities I got to grab some of your knowledge and definitely have you incorporated into our workouts. And I will still always recommend that kids find you and follow what you're doing, because
Awesome.
It's essential.
Thanks so much. Yeah, I really appreciate the opportunity. If I honestly, I wish I could come back with this COVID situation. There's no flying for me at the time, but when I come back, I'd like to hook up with you again, because I really, really enjoy working with your program and with your kids. It's the best. So I did skills movement. I didn't just work with basketball players, but I worked with any athlete. I worked with dancers. I worked with, sports professionals. I worked with military, and I trained some members of the police, SWAT, and different things. So it's very broad-based, because like Shake said, it's not specialized, but it applies across the board. So I did skills movement for five years, I think, while I was in Guelph. Over the last, memories kind of fuzzy times right now, but I think 1.5 to 2 years, skills movement has evolved into what's now called athletic engineering. And it's athletic engineering Canada, but we service worldwide because most of our programming is done remotely. We offer a lot of online resources. We're currently building a fantastic resource. It's going to be called AETV, Athletic Engineering TV, which is going to be kind of like the kind of think of a Netflix format, but it's going to be filled with training resources for anyone to be able to access, subscribe to, and access. And we're going to be endlessly building content for that. So it's going to be, we're really pumped about releasing that. Since I've been overseas, I've been working a lot with different types of groups here as well. I've been working with local basketball development. Terry, you were asking about the basketball here. Right now, it's at a stage where there is a national team here, but I can't really speak about the national team. I haven't done any work with them, but I have worked with their former head coach and the gentleman who heads up the basically the head of the basketball organization here nationally. So I did some work with him where we went to rural communities to spread basketball and develop basketball and give the kids out there who a lot of them didn't even have shoes to come to the session. We went out there and just brought a bunch of balls and introduced them to the game. And that's the kind of stage it's at where we're trying to get grassroots development going across the island. So I involve myself there where I can, but I'm not heading that up. And then I've done some work with one of the national swimming organizations, one of the national swim clubs with some of their athletes, training their athletes. I've written a weekly advice column for the newspaper here on fitness and nutrition. A lot of different things I'd have to look. I can't recall off the top of my head because my involvement has been kind of all over the place, but really enjoying what we're doing here with athletic engineering and still servicing a handful of more committed clients who I provide individualized programming for overseas. So looking to build that client base a little bit as well. But again, I keep that manageable because it's so focused and individualized that it's not something where I can just endlessly build my client base because it takes time to create the programs for them and keep communication with them to make sure that they're, following their program, answering any questions that they have, watching videos to see if they're doing things properly and so on. But that's one of the benefits of technology, that I can work with somebody anywhere instead of just locally. So that's a huge benefit during this pandemic situation, obviously, because I'm not doing anything in person right now. It's too risky.
Wow, you're
Sure.
you're very, very involved. That's excellent. I love that. And hopefully you can share that website with Shake, and we can get it
Definitely.
up all for all and for the Shake True Hoops website, so we can help support you that way. I got a quick question for you, and I always ask this because I like putting people on the hot seat. In your time in Guelph in high school, who are the top five? Who are the top 5 players in your opinion that you competed with or against?
Any in my generation, like my
your generation. Let's just go with your generation.
Okay. Some of these guys are older, but I would definitely say when I first got on the basketball scene, I started to hear about Mike Baggio, and he's one of the guys. Even when I was just young, not even in university yet, I would go scrimmage at the university with Shaker, and I remember Mike being there and just thinking, man, this guy's big and he's good. So I would say Mike. He's a great guy too. Hope he's doing well. He's over in Australia still. Is that right?
Yes, he is. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'd say Mike Baggio, and then on my own team, Mike King. You're saying my generation, so Mike King, and then James along with him. I would like to throw my whole starting lineup out there but I won't do that because it's too biased. But I'll say Mike King and James, Mike Baggio, and man, who am I missing I'm trying to think of the guys I played against. Well, you had John Poposky on there last week. He's a fantastic player. Obviously had a great career down south, and he played on the national team too, I think, did he?
Yeah, he did.
John Poposky. I think that's 5.
I love that no one ever sends out any of my GCBO Gales, even though we guys gave you a battle.
Well, you guys had great. You guys had. I can't. There's so many great players. If you really look back, I
think in your era, during when you were playing, I think at GC there was David Suzuki, Trevor Harding, Kyle Knight. They were all quick. They were all tough. There was Popovsky and Patiachi at Centennial. I think there was like probably strictly Wayne Hines.
Yes.
At Orangeville. I think he was maybe the lone light there.
Yeah. You're forgetting two. You're forgetting Jason Pearson, God rest his soul, and Dave Love.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yes. But I was really looking at the guards that he had to go against. But your era had a whole bunch of guys that were good. I'm trying to think of who was that Ross at the time that was
Jeff McNeil.
And who was who was his backcourt guy? You got Don Wilson and maybe Justin Wilkes.
Yes, Wilkes was there. Yes.
Yeah. See, I didn't play against those guys in high school because they were a bit ahead of me, so they didn't come to mind. But definitely good names that you just brought up. Trevor Harding, I played against. He went to Brock.
Yep.
I remember playing against him in university as well. He was a good matchup. Yeah, great guys. And then even from St. James on the senior team, like there was, the trio, Melahay's Halfpenny and Larson trio that when we were coming up, those were great players. So the pool in Guelph was incredible back then. That was really a good time to play basketball for me coming up in Guelph, especially for guards. There were a lot of great players.
When did you guys figure out you were actually good?
In the senior year, because we were always coming up, like in junior and everything, we won District 10. We always won District 10 and Kawasa as well. So we always, I think, felt we were good. I always thought we were a good team from grade 9 right up. But in our senior year, I remember at the beginning of the year sitting down. We almost didn't have a season that year. And I'll be forever grateful to Mick Sharp for coming in and stepping up and coaching us, because he wasn't teaching at our school or anything. He came in and coached us. And I remember sitting down with our team and with Coach Sharp, and he asked us, what do we want this season? What's the end goal? Like what are we really looking for to do? Is it just to win Kawasa? What? And we set a goal as a team at the beginning to win OFSAA. We said we want to go to OFSAA and we want to win. It's going to be a tough road, but we thought if we really, with the team that we had at that time, we thought we had a chance to do it. And the year prior, we had a good run, and I played up with the senior team, and they had proven that they were a good team as well. We were a good team the year previous. So we thought, why not go for the gold? And that year we had some mostly ups, but we had some downs as well. I remember we had a couple of losses I remember one tournament in particular where we lost to St. Benedict's in Cambridge, a game that we should have won. And a few other minor struggles, but that year was just we were just really gelled as a team. We all knew what our goal was because we had set that at the beginning of the year. And I don't know, it was kind of like a fairy tale year for us, at least in my perspective. I don't know, I can't speak for the other guys, but when I look back at it, it just feels like it was the perfect senior year of basketball, and with the perfect ending. So it'll always be one of the best memories for me looking back in terms of my basketball days.
Yeah. Who, just for the record, who were the starters on that team?
It was Mike King, Chris Scott was our Dennis Rodman.
Right.
And then we had James Gillingham, Mike Rafter, and myself at point.
My question is, how many of you guys actually lived in the region? I'm just teasing. Yeah.
I remember
two Catholic schools at the time in Guelph. So I guess
that's
from
right.
Dino's shop all the way over, you're a St. James Lion, so it was good, you know.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Basketball memories. Yeah, you have a top three, like obviously offs everything like that, but you know, so we've had to ask this question before. Like, is there something OBAs or junior, like your own personal? Hey, this is my favorite kind of memory of what I did in the game.
Yeah, there's a lot if I really look back. I mean, as a little 5'9" guy who thought I was going to be a soccer player and then ended up playing basketball somehow, I ended up having a nice little career for myself. I think I have Shake a lot to thank for that. I could the first time my first memory of basketball was joining Hoops and Hustle. I just wanted to give it a try, and I came and realized that I could really dribble the basketball just naturally, but I couldn't shoot at all. And Shaker helped me. I remember Shaker kind of recruited me. My parents and I met Shaker through Hoops and Hustle, I think, and started working with him, and then started developing the other skills that I was missing. And I would say that is one of my best memories, because the days of training with Shaker, and it wasn't just always in the gym. We would go to Centennial and run the hill. We would do chin-ups on the bars at the playground in the back. We would do box jumps. And I remember as a young player, and Mike Badger used to come out to some of those sessions as well and train with us. So right there is where I kind of developed a passion for not just playing basketball, but for preparing for it, for training. That was fun for me. I love the training aspect of it. And that's why I'm very involved in that to this day. So that, I would say, is one of my best memories. Getting up and meeting at the hill at Centennial at 7 a.m. and running the hill, believe it or not, for me, is one of my best memories. I enjoyed that. So that, and then OBA, we also won the provincial championships, our OBA team. That was a huge game because we also played the Hamilton guys for that. And I don't think we weren't expected to win that. They had beat us in every matchup prior to that going in. But I remember the final game, we were trailing the whole game, but close. And then in the fourth quarter, we were down like, I can't remember the exact score, but we were down like 7 or 6 or something like that. And I remember Mike King got a couple of key rebounds, sent it out to me. I went down and hit a 3 in transition towards the end of the game. And then they brought up the ball. We got another rebound. We forced them to turn it over or miss a shot. Mike got the ball again, got it to me. I got fouled and I knocked down 2 free throws. Same thing happened again. I knocked down 2 more free throws. And that was basically the last, that 7 points. Yeah, I remember having the last 7 points of the game, and we won it very, very close in the end. I don't remember if it went into overtime after that. I don't remember if that tied it up and then we won in overtime, or if that was just the end of the game. But we ended up winning the gold on that, and that was a huge memory for me as well. And then obviously winning OFSAA. That whole season, I would say was one big whole memory for me, not just the final game, but the whole season. And then I don't know, there's a lot of little memories mixed in there, but those are 3 big ones.
Well, I remember working with you, obviously, and Chris, but during that year, Mike King had a real tough time during that period. And
Yes.
We used to work up to the university, and he would tell me sometimes that there were times where you guys had to run your own practices just to circumstances around coaches not being available, as like Mick had to work or something. And I think that was probably really big for you guys, getting some autonomy over yourselves and your own team. What do you think about that? Yeah,
I think so. I'm trying to remember back. I I can't really remember running our own practices too much, but I'm sure it might have happened because, like I said, Coach Sharp wasn't a teacher at the school and he did have other commitments. So there might have been times when he wasn't there, but I definitely felt like even when he was there, he gave us some autonomy. And I think that was, I've been on teams where, and this is just my personal opinion, but I've been on some teams where coaches have kind of overcoached, I felt, and like not, when you have a certain set of players, maybe sometimes they need to be given a little bit more freedom. And I feel like in our senior year, we were given a certain amount of freedom. He would interject where necessary. But we did kind of feel like under his guidance that we were kind of running our team, I think. At least I felt like that. And I think that's big because you want players to feel like you don't want to feel like you're just a herd being pulled along by the coach all the time. I think it's important for players to take responsibility for decisions and stuff like that in games. It's not always just being told what to do. I like that because I feel like that's why I'm an entrepreneur as well. I don't like just constantly taking instructions. I feel like I have my own vision, and if I put in the work, I feel like I have kind of earned the I don't know, for lack of a better word, earned the right to make some of those decisions myself, and not just myself, but others on that team as well. Obviously, put in a lot of work, and we were competent guys, I think, and we knew each other. We played together for so long, and we were able to kind of take leadership for ourselves in a lot of moments. And I think that was a huge part of our success.
Yeah. Terry?
Yeah, no, I was just gonna, again, I love the hot question. So when you played in District 10, who were your favorite official and who was your least favorite official when they walked in the door?
Favorite, I never really had a problem with any officials. I would say that my least favorite, though, the only one that sticks out in my mind was, and I don't know what his name is. Forgive me for they used to call him, I know some of the guys used to call him Magoo, and I'm not sure why, but he had the glasses, the round glasses.
Yeah,
Who was that?
I don't know his name, but I know you're talking.
Okay.
Mike.
He was my least favorite, only because I felt like some games he used to kind of pick on me. I don't know why, but he just used to call me a lot for hand checking and things. I just feel like he used to try to get to me. He didn't really get to me, but because it seemed like he was probably my least favorite.
Okay. I think it's Mike McPhee.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who's the president or was former president of?
Oh,
so
okay.
He was setting the bar high, you know what I mean?
Right,
and I guess
right.
The other thing is like, during that period where you guys played, I just know, obviously, you know, myself and Shake were involved in different areas, but the atmospheres in the gym and the intensity and, you know, they were some of the best environments that I had ever seen in a high school situation. Have you, looking back on it, like what was the build up walking into, you know, a home game at St. James or an away game when the a District 10 final, and, you know what I mean? Like those were some special times. Is there anything that you put into it and you got yourself personally ready? Because it had to be different than what the norm was, you know?
I agree. I think it probably is different than the norm. And it was, there was a lot of hype. And that's what was so great about it. I think, at least for me, I was just having a ton of fun playing. I was never thinking, got to go to practice. I was like, I can't wait to practice. I just loved playing. I loved going on a team. I love playing on the team. I love going to practice. I love going to games. We used to make mixtapes for warm-up, mixtapes for tournaments. The atmosphere in the change room before the game getting ready was always very positive. I don't really know what it's to say about it. I felt like everybody wanted to be there.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that's most important. I see a lot of young kids now that are playing, and I don't know sometimes I don't know what the motivation is. I feel like sometimes maybe it's just cool to play on the basketball team, but I feel like when you really look at their preparation off the court, not everyone, but I'm just saying in general, I don't get the same sense of passion from some of the younger players these days. I'm not sure if there's other factors involved or what, but I feel like when we didn't have practice, we were calling each other to try to organize pickup games. We were going to the university to play with whoever was there, with you guys. And I don't see that as much from some of the youth that I have worked with more recently.
Yeah, you guys had a true love for the game. It wasn't play. It wasn't a play. It wasn't what you did. It's who you were. You guys. That's exactly what I felt and this saw with it. You know what I mean? And again, that's very special. And I find it very interesting that the majority of the guys that had that passion, this gentleman over here to your left, all worked out with him. You know what I mean? So that's off to Shaker and Shake True Hoops before Ball for All to really getting in the gym and instilling some of those training disciplines and time and work ethic and all the stuff that people don't it's what you do when the lights are off or when people aren't watching that gets you to where you need to be when they are watching. And I know all you guys put time in there, and it for me it was cool because me and Shake had this conversation a long time ago, and he always told me, he said, Terry, training is going to be the future. And I'm like, no, we're going to be a coach. And it was like train, and you look forward in the future. He was right in 1991 and I was wrong, but it's all good. It's all good for sure.
I don't think either of them go away. I think what is lost sometimes is the whole school atmosphere. So St. James was pretty good. They had a lot of buy-in to go to the games. I believe that even in your time, your women's team was good also. Mm-hmm. So there was real interest in going to high school games. Certainly, I think part of the development of a lot of those kids and the reason they got the passion was, as Darren alluded to, going up to the university and getting a chance to play with older people. Mm-hmm. And I think to this day, that's one of the best ways to get good at any sport, in my opinion. And it's not always as available now and accessible as it was then. So, when I was playing or just beyond playing varsity level basketball, I was mixing it up with some high school guys. And there had to be some good lessons in there for probably myself as well, understanding how out of shape I was or whatever it was. But those lessons had to go both ways. And I don't think you get that as much anymore. And all that extra playing against older guys really has been replaced with specific training. And while I believe in specific training, you can't lose sight of your actual goal, which is to play the games. And so I feel like something has been lost while something else has been gained. And the kids who have the opportunity to do both are the ones who benefit the most.
Yeah. And actually, I wanted to say something about that because I think that was one of the keys of why I enjoyed working with you so much, Shake, and why I continued to, because I really believe in learning from people who can do what they're teaching. And, just because somebody's qualified, it doesn't mean that they're competent. And with Shaker, Shaker was schooling guys who are, a lot younger than him, not just high school guys, but university guys. When I was playing, and Shaker was always the guy who, he was schooling everybody. And so you wanted to learn from him because you wanted to know how he was doing that. So Shaker was responsible for giving me a jump shot. And yeah, I had to put in the work to develop that shot. It's my work that developed the shot. But Shaker was the one who, identified the gaps in my game that could make me a better player, that were individual to me, that were specific to my game. He identified things that could make me significant at the next level. And I took that to heart, and I went and I worked on those things. And I was never a pure shooter, but I developed a respectable jump shot. I developed a respectable three-pointer, and I was able to use the other things that came more naturally to me, like ball handling and quickness on defense and stuff like that. And putting those things together and filling those holes in my game, instead of getting defensive about it and thinking, oh, I don't need to work on the things that I'm not good at because I'll just live off of my quickness and my ball handling, I spent my time working on the things that Shaker identified. And that's what I think that is really what led me to be able to start in my first year as a point guard in university basketball. So I really have Shake to thank for that, because I don't know where else I would have learned that. I don't think I would have done it on my own. There wasn't Google.
Right.
When I was playing, I couldn't go on YouTube and Google and figure stuff out. So really it's my training with Shake, and then going to the gym and playing against you and having you guard me and learning how to use not just quickness, but angles and footwork and all these different things that you showed me that really, how to penetrate and then use my body to shield the ball and still get a shot off like this when a guy has more reach than me and has more height. And I was able to finish a lot of shots and had a lot of confidence going to the basket as a really small guy in university among giants, and had a fun career and had a successful little time playing. And I think you're a huge part of that. No question.
Well, thank you very much. That's high praise. And I'm happy, you took the lessons and got them done. And you, amongst many others, have been able to do that. Certainly, it still remains a small percentage of the kids who play overall who are going to get to that level. And largely, it's mostly dependent on their desire and their ability to listen. But what would you feel were the top 3 things, secrets to your success personally, that other viewers can maybe, if they're young and are working on, their own games, can pick up and take to heart?
Okay, good question. I would say the first thing is make sure you're doing what you're doing because you want to do it. I think a lot of people get into things because their friends are doing it, and reasons that it's going to be hard to sustain work ethic if you're not the one behind what you're doing. And I always had, luckily I had, very thankful for parents who were very supportive of anything that I wanted to do. And as long as it was positive, obviously, and playing basketball was positive, and I really wanted to play. So I never had to be forced to go to practice. I never had to be forced to go out on the driveway for hours and work on my jump shot or my ball handling. I just wanted to do it. So make sure that it doesn't really matter what you do, I would say. If you're young, just do it well and make sure that you want to do it. Pick something that you really enjoy doing and then do it well. Do it the best that you can. That's the first thing. The second thing is learn from people who, like I was just saying before, who walk the walk. And don't just seek out, who's maybe popular at the time. Don't seek out who's qualified on paper necessarily. Doesn't mean competence, like I just said. Find out who's able to do what you want to be able to do and who's already doing it well or has done it very well, and learn from them, because they're probably going to have the most tools to your success. And then third, I would say is be as balanced as possible. I think one of the things that when I look back in my childhood, like I hear a lot of things about, teen depression and mental health issues and stuff like that these days, and it's very unfortunate. And I think a lot of it has to do with just the imbalance in lifestyles. So I would say try to keep yourself as balanced as possible. Don't just be on your phone and then be a basketball player. Learn other things, get out in the world, get out in nature, travel if you can, take a dance class. Like don't put yourself in a small box, expand it as much as possible, because I think especially when you're young and developing, the smaller you make your identity, the more problems you're going to create for yourself. I think you need to expand your identity as much as possible, and then later on you'll probably hone in, you'll probably narrow in or specialize more if you find that suits you. But make your identity as large as possible. That's what I would say. Be as diverse as possible. Yeah.
Therefore, you were an academic all-Canadian. That was a thesis right there of how to live for the youth, for sure. Like, I'm going to tell my daughter that next time I see her. I'm going to make her watch this tape. But that was great.
Thanks,
there. It's so true. Like, again, me and Shake are basketball guys, but we've all done different things. Played hockey. Did this, did that. Shakes loves nature. You know what I mean? I used to as a kid, not so much anymore. But like, you're right. Expand those horizons and then figure out what's going on, afterwards. With your playing style and the way you played, coming into the game mentally, did you have a consistent routine that you did, or like how did you get yourself prepared to play within your own head?
Yeah, I had a little bit of a routine. Most of it had to do with, well, for one, whenever leading up to games and stuff like that, I tried to eat. I mean, knowing what I know now, it wasn't the best, but I tried to eat as healthy as I could when I knew I had games and stuff coming up. I wouldn't be partying or eating junk, what I would have thought was junk back then. I would have tried to eat and prepare, even in the kitchen, better as best I could leading up to the game, so that I physically felt good. And then in terms of immediately before the game, I'd be jumping rope, doing something to just get my just to feel more bouncy, because I relied a lot on quickness, like on defense and on offense, penetrating in and out. And I always wanted to feel bouncy. So sometimes, even if you do a thorough warm up and you're doing the standard warm up that everyone else is doing, you don't necessarily get that feel. You know what I'm talking about? When you just feel good, you feel bouncy and lively. And I always wanted to be going in feeling like that. So I found jumping rope helped me a lot with that. And that's something that I recommend athletes do to this day, is to jump rope, because it gives you that. There's something about jumping rope that gives you a certain elasticity in the body that kind of fires up your nervous system. So I think jumping rope is good. And then mentally, I don't know, it's everybody, that's a very individual thing, mental preparation. Like, I remember going into the OFSAA final and everyone kept being like, oh, are you nervous to play against, this point guard? He just had 50 points or whatever it was. He was ranked ahead of me at the time in the province as a point guard. I wasn't rattled. Like, I don't know what works for everybody individually, but for me, I had confidence in myself that I could guard them. And I had confidence in our team that we could beat that team. So even though they came out and they kind of played a little intimidation game in the warm up, I think they all they put the ball down and they started walking around the court, clapping and kind of staring us down. I don't know if it was supposed to intimidate us or what, but I never got intimidated like that. And I think I don't know. I don't really know what to say in terms of what got my mindset to the point that I was never really rattled in pressure situations. Maybe it's just because I'm a more internal kind of a person by nature. It's if I feel pressure, if I feel the stress of a situation, whether it's preparing for an exam or preparing for a basketball game, I kind of retreat and I just become kind of silent and focus on what I have to do and then go and do it. I think part of the problem now with people preparing for stuff is too much distraction. It's just constantly either on the phone, on the computer, calling somebody, like the TV's on, there's just noise everywhere. And I think that if you want to get your mind in the right state, you need to have some sense of stillness within yourself, like some sense of silence to create that clarity. So I didn't know what meditation was back then, but these kinds of practices I would recommend young people take up as a way to settle everything, because everything is constantly buzzing these days. So I think you need to kind of settle it down a little bit. And from there comes the necessary, you think that's like, people think, oh, if I get too relaxed, I'm not going to be able to perform at a high level. But actually, prior to high performance is relaxation. You need to be relaxed. You can't be stressed. You need to be relaxed to be at your most intense. And relaxation doesn't mean you become lazy and lax. It means you are calm, but you're ready to go. So when I went into that OFSAA final, I was calm, but I was still intense. I came out firing. I think I had the first 13 points of the whole first quarter. So that's what you need. You need to have a relaxed mindset and not have this constant chatter that's going on around you with distractions that is going to keep you in a state of anxiety as opposed to relaxation where you need to be.
See, I got a little secret. I knew you're going to do well against Lloyd because I coached Lloyd. He played for me, MVP.
Okay.
And then I just knew with your ability to defend and with being within an inch of someone's chest defensively, but not foul them, was going to frustrate him, because I know it was like big bravado guy, great kid, but he was bravado. He wanted to get it going, wanted to start talking and clapping. And when you took that away from him, it made him less of a player, right? And so I knew this because, on-ball defender, you're one of the best I've ever seen, because you never fouled, but you were always right there. And I knew that was going to get him a little shook. And then you start hitting shots, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be a long day. You know what I mean? So, those are all great memories. So again, I got to go back to District 10 only. Toughest matchup for you in District 10 when you played.
I don't know. Really toughest matchup. It's really hard for me to say because now you make me seem like I'm sounding cocky, but I never really felt, I always felt like I was quick enough to stay with whoever I was matching up against.
Yeah, but there's got to be guys who are just, I'm just looking at it, you have Poplawski. I just remember you and Trevor Harding back and forth for me and Suzuki.
Yeah, I was just going to say
a track meet with you guys going after each other.
I know. I was just going to say probably Trevor.
Yeah.
Probably Trevor. He was quick, crafty.
And both very quiet, reserved guys. Both, not very boisterous. Both just like Mike King said it to me once, because me, I'm a yapper. And I was talking to Mike before we played you guys. And he's like, I'll let my game do my talking.
That's right. That's something that Mike would say for sure. Yeah.
Quiet like that too. Like not even like anything else. Then you went and had 30 or something like that. But this has been really good. I love doing this. Like the more we're doing it and giving back to, the Shake True Hoops and Ball for All stuff. It's just really nice to really, get in contact with guys and see where they are and how they've gone through it and just their memories. And really the reality of this thing is that all you guys are successful because you have that work ethic and you continue working to this day. And, I again, it's just our third one, Shake. We're going to keep doing this. And, out of COVID, good things happen. This is a great thing that's happened out of COVID, in my opinion. Just,
Oh, yeah.
So we have to get someone from Lords next. So it's got to be Mike, next on it. So we can hit every school in District 10. And then maybe we can have a mass one at the end. I don't know, Shake, try to get everybody on. But for me, this has been really, really good. And Darren, you know, I just always loved coaching against you. I always loved to see you on the other side of the floor, and you know, and I just love the fact that I knew what you're going to do every time you came out. Frustrated, and I only seen you frustrated maybe once or twice, but I knew you're going to give us everything you had inside. But the most important, after the game, you shake your hand and you look you in the eye and say, "Great game, coach." A lot of kids don't do that, you know what I mean? And a lot of men don't do that anymore. And I take my hat off to you and your mom and dad to bring you up like that. And really, it's something that's special, and it's something that I really, you know, appreciated as, you know, a rival coach to you guys, you know?
Thanks, Terry. Really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Really appreciate that.
I think we probably have to wrap it up. I know I have to get back to my mom, but yeah, it's great to speak to you again and connect. And certainly I enjoyed watching your whole career. And there were a lot of, I would say, up moments, and I recall very few down moments. But those were pretty good basketball days for everyone. And I'm looking forward to continuing this series where we get some guys chatting about days of yore. And I really appreciate the preparation that you talked about, because if kids listen to this, they'll understand that it's not so much about hype, but it is preparation and inner confidence. And I'm pretty sure that a lot of confidence comes from work you put in. So I appreciate you echoing some of those sentiments. And I wish you all the best.
Thanks, guys. Really appreciate you guys doing this and having me on. It was great. Great to see you all.
For sure.
Okay.
Have a good one, guys.
Okay.
See ya.
See you guys.